The final qualifier on the Western European League proved some of the pundits wrong and some of the experts right. Qualification for the final in Texas was decided by just a single second, and where some did qualify, others didn't. Or did they? Just wait and see. But first, the quick strides presented by UVEX. Last week, the influential breeding stallion Cicero Z van Pamel passed away. The stallion, bred by Ronnie Borloo and sired by Carthago Z out of a Randall Z mare, was 26 when he passed away at his owners, the Van Eekhout family. Cicero had a successful career up to meet the 60 level with Dick de Meersman, going clear in the Mechelen World Cup. As a young stallion, Cicero was already very popular amongst breeders, and currently it is 5-star Grand Prix winner Jarina J of Peter de Vos that carries Cicero's flag. Michael van de Vleuten's O'Bailey van het Brouwerhof NOP is also no more. The 12-year-old stallion by Darko competed for the last time in Monte Carlo in 2025 with a clear round in the Grand Prix, just weeks after he went clear in both the Grand Prix of Rotterdam and Cannes. In 2023, O'Bailey was part of the Dutch team that won their Home Nations Cup equally in Rotterdam. Philipp Schulze Topphoff is a rider at the Beerbaum stables. The young German was based not far from Riesenbeck and has been part of the Global Champions League team Riesenbeck International. That is where Beerbaum and Schulze Topphoff worked closely together. And after the departure of Christian Kuckuck at the end of last year, Schulze Topphoff is now offered a new opportunity in his career. Valtik HB has retired from the sport and has entered the collection of Stud Farm Zangersheide. The 16-year-old Valtik was born in the Netherlands with the family Huisman Brinkman, and after being produced by Roger McRae and Owen Gallagher, he joined Ben Mears' string at the end of 2021. A few weeks later, they already went clear in the London World Cup. From there, the pair came second in the Rome and third in the Cannes Grand Prix, and at the Herning World Championships, they finished fifth individually. From now on, Valtik can focus solely on producing offspring. Great news for Italian rider Giulia Martinengo. Last weekend in Gorla Minore, she was spotted competing in the one-star classes with her two leading horses that were out for a while. Delta de Lille, here runner-up in the Geneva Grand Prix in 2024, didn't compete since the Nations Cup final in Barcelona, and Scuderia 1918 Cala Deluxe was out for nearly a year. Both horses were seen competing in meter 20 and meter 30 rounds. Sometimes you go to dinner to a friend's house and you have a little bit of the food. The food is actually really well, so you get some more. You start thinking to yourself, and you look around the table and you think, it's okay, I'll just have a little bit more. Just before the host comes over to the table and is about to take the plates away, he or she asks, come on guys, who's going to have the last bit? And you know you shouldn't, yet you do it and you still take the last bit. You go away, you drive home, you're in the car and you have a little bit of pain in your tummy and you know that the next morning the scale will not be in your favor. But you know what? You did it anyway and you feel good about it. That is exactly the same feeling that I have about seeing my two guests a little bit too much over the weekend. Great to see you guys again, Niels Bruynseels and Clee.
I thought we'd lost you there for a minute. I thought you'd just gone into your own little world.
I often do, and I understand why you think so, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but I don't think we can see each other enough. Enjoy your company, that's why I'm here.
I have an honest question for you. This time it's an honest question. What gives
all the others weren't honest.
No, they weren't.
Okay.
What gives you the most pressure? Riding on a Thursday night and presenting those stallions for the breeders in Centaur Park, or on a Thursday night Nations Cup in Aken?
I would say the stallions it's a different type of pressure, you know, and it also depends what you're riding. You know, if you're going into an Aken on a horse, it's not quite good enough. That's quite a different pressure. But I would say the stallions. Yeah, you've got to be in full focus and full concentration, and everything has to go well on the night. You know, you've got a lot of people watching, and and the time it also continues longer. When I went into the Nations Cups, you get the butterflies, but I enjoyed that. You know, that was a different sort of. This is a deeper concentration. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good question.
It's in Aachen, you are judged, and in Centaur Park with the stallion presentation, the horses beneath you or under you are judged.
Yeah. Yeah,
Bizarre feeling.
and you've got your boss watching you intently to make sure you're not making any mistakes. So it's really under the microscope. Yeah.
Niels, you were there also. You weren't competing in the Middle East. You were there with various horses. However, lots of things happened over the weekend. We were all aware on the war going on between the United States of America, Israel, Iran, how it spread across the entire region. Give us a little bit of insight, because you've got your groom there, you've got 4 horses there. How was that for you, those days when the news broke out, the contact with your groom? Can you give us, how did it all go?
Yeah, to be really honest, if something goes on like this, so close by, because I have to say, it's unbelievable close by the whole venue in Al Shakab. Then you just want that your horses and your entire team are as soon as possible home and very close by the whole team. But they are safe, actually safe, horses are safe, the groom is safe. The first moment was quite shocking because they really saw the rockets flying over the show. But communication is quite well, so the first moment was shocking. Now everything settled down a little bit. It's just waiting what's going on. I think we just have the official news that the Global Champions Tour is cancelled.
Yeah. Or at least doesn't take place on this weekend. I don't know if it's rescheduled. Launching timing says postponed, but at least the coming week there is no LGCT.
If I hear people from Doha, from Qatar, local people, they are like, nothing is going on. Next week we will compete. There is everybody is safe. But for me, it's still a mixed feeling. I don't know what to do. I actually, what's good? You don't the airspace is closed. So you can do nothing. For the moment, you can do nothing. You just have to wait. What's going on the next?
Were the grooms warned that it could escalate, that there could be rockets, or it was just a surprise all of a sudden that there were rockets?
A surprise for sure. And then the American military base, I think, is only 5-6 kilometers from the show. That's nothing.
Yeah. It's a little bit further, but it's
the base that was actually hit.
I think it's 30 kilometers, but or 30 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No.
No, but it's really close by because they see the rockets flying over, the drones coming. Try to. It's
maybe 30 minutes by camel.
Yeah.
The first impression is a little bit shocking.
Yeah. Okay, I understand.
That is that close by.
But Global Tour will not take place this weekend. At the moment, horses, grooms are all safe. I saw images of them riding again in Al Shakab, so that is very positive. I also heard that they were really well taken care of by the team at Al Shakab, so that is positive. Closer to home, there was the final stage in Helsinki, final qualifier, the 13th qualifier for the Western European League for the final in Texas at Fort Worth. There was a lot at stake. Guilherme George was course builder there. He had a very diverse field of riders. He had a few debutants, a few newcomers that treated it as just a 5-star show. On the other hand, he had a lot of riders that still wanted to get into the World Cup final. The first rider who came in, Paula de Boer Schwarz. Joe, we had each other on the phone and you said, listen, we have to talk about this lady.
Yeah, fantastic round. I loved the horse. I loved the way she rides. I've never seen her ride before. I think she did a fantastic job. Made the course look easy, actually. And I loved the emotion at the end of this. Yeah. This, for me, is what show jumping's about, you know? First 160 World Cup, I can feel what she's feeling.
That's what we can say, we can say new on this level.
Yeah.
first to go, so you see the start list the evening before and you think like, shit.
Yeah.
First to go tomorrow and then go clear, and the way how she jumped it.
Yeah. It was her third meter 60 class. I do think she jumped Leipzig earlier this year, but still first. With this horse, she jumped her first meter 60s. Together with this horse, this was only her third meter 60 class, and then to go clear. And we will see.
And first to go, like Niels said, that's still a bit of pressure on, isn't it? Cool.
So I thought, oh, wait a minute. If she goes clear, this is going to be a very, very easy course. In the end, it wasn't. Feels like Guilherme George had his course exactly balanced for who was there and what was at stake, because also those that were challenging to get into Fort Worth, it wasn't handed on a silver platter, was it?
No, I think you're right. You're putting it nicely. He definitely built for who was there. I don't think, again, it wasn't the biggest or the most technical course we've seen, but he got it right. The course builder got it right. Everyone had a fair chance. He left options. He built quite a open course.
Yeah.
I think his plan was to get them all a little bit on the forehand, and he found the right mistakes doing that as well.
Most mistakes happened in the final line. Let's bring up the course plan and talk to us about that final line, where it sits, and what were the mistakes that were actually made.
So the final, I think, a lot of faults were made on fence number 5, I think, the plank as well.
Yep.
Here. But the final line, you came off the oxer here and round to this oxer. And I think a lot of the line depended on how you got to that first oxer. You needed to make your plan before you got to that oxer. If you're going to, it was basically a middle to middle on 27 meters, 6 strides. It rode a little bit long, and a few of the riders were opting to do an outside 7, but that made it very difficult to jump, in my opinion. Point 1, you ended up too deep on the vertical coming in on the 7, and of course, big stretch coming out. So you had faults all round the double. It wasn't just coming in or going out. I think if you wanted to do the 7, you had to come a little bit more round the corner to take the outside line, but even then it ended up quite short. And then again, the stretch out. And then it was a 7 strides middle to the last. Also caught a lot of people out. I think they landed after the double and the horses were falling to the inside. I think we saw Gregory Waterley ended up too much on the inside and the 7 got too short. And it was a very wide oxer to finish here. And I think he fell into that trap. So there were traps all around that line, very, very cleverly built. For me, ideal 6 middle to middle, probably land, travel a little bit so you can wait a bit in the end to jump in, squeeze out, and then a slightly outside. I think Oda rode that perfectly. She rode an outside 7 so she could really press in the end for the 7.
Yeah. Let's bring up Philipp Schulze, Topphoff and Patrick Stühlmeyer, because those two German riders were very eager to qualify. This is the line prior to the line you just discussed, but take us through it, Joe and Niels. What are you seeing?
So 3 strides to a big stretch on the water. Here you come round the corner, you see he's gone quite far round to jump it back towards us to make the 7 strides. I think he rode it very well, but difficult fence to jump on the 7 strides. You end up too close.
You could see his plan was to do the 7. He rode a little bit over the line on that oxer, and then straight away in balance, nice on the hind legs, waiting the last 3 strides. I think he was more a little bit unlucky than not good riding.
Yeah. No, he rode it well. He made the decision. He rode it well, but still ended up too deep.
Yeah.
The horse had to try too hard. And if you don't have it coming in, you're going to have it coming out.
This is Stühlmeyer.
So you see, he does the 6, but it's a little bit open. Yeah. And then he ran a little bit out of room. So that's the other trap. I think if you stayed a little bit more on the inside for the 6, he could have waited, and then he could have pressed a little bit coming out. You see here? Ends up a little bit flat coming in.
Just too nice coming in, and then the horse lose a little bit of power coming out.
Yeah, a bit close to the oxer coming out.
In the end, they both produce rounds on 4 penalties, but fast enough we'll see in the end, to qualify. So it worked out well in the end for Philipp, Schulze, Topphoff and Patrick Stühlmeyer. Another one that was planning actually, or not really planning, but had a chance in case of a good result, could get qualified for Texas, was Grégory Wathelet with Double Jeu d'Envol. You just mentioned him. Let's bring him up. Wathelet, who actually scored quite a few points already on the North American League.
6, so that was really well ridden. Got the balance 6, and you see here, just gets a little bit to the inside and then runs out of room.
The last 4 strides, he had actually to wait, and it's a big oxer, the last oxer. You need a little bit of forwards distance that you can give a little push.
And he just ran out of room.
Yeah.
Just ran out of room. You know, you don't often see him make mistakes. No. It just came too much inside. Didn't have enough push in the end. And he's gonna kick himself.
Yeah,
that
all
one.
3 and 4 points, and that's a group of riders actually that was fighting for points.
Aiming to qualify. Yeah, absolutely. And it has quite a big impact. Time, however, did not have a big impact. George gave them plenty of time. However, one rider, who again is in the hunt for valuable points, did not make the time allowed, and that was Jordi van Massenhoven. Again with Equine America Verdiamo.
Yeah,
he's ridden quite a few rounds now, and has not managed to jump clear. However, twice he did jump clear, but on time penalties.
Yeah, I think his most difficult challenge is the control of the horse. You know, I think when he rides a little bit faster, he can often lose control, or the plan gets lost. You know, he can quickly lose if he pushes once too much in a distance. I think the control goes a little bit, and then
it's not the most easy horse to ride. It's a horse with a lot of temperament and really takes over sometimes the reins, and then you need the whole course to keep the try to keep the control about the horse, and that's why often it costs maybe just a little time fault.
Yeah, you're kind of forced into sticking to your plan. You know, you can't really ride for
and
the
sometimes
time.
Just in the corner it takes a little bit more time to settle everything a little bit together.
I mean, it's good riding. I mean, it's not, but makes it difficult to get inside.
The round qualifies him for Texas, but Texas's first round is a speed class. Table A, table C rather.
Yeah. So that's it's going to be challenging. That's going to be, I mean, I'm sure they've got time now between now and then. So I'm sure that'll be the thing now. That'll be focus. Yeah. Let's try to get some control at a good pace, you know, so we can go a bit faster. They're not going to fly all the way out there to not do well. So they know it's a speed class. They're a professional team. I guess that'll be the plan.
All right. Let's have a look at the horses and riders qualified for the jump-off in Helsinki. It starts with Paula de Boer Schwarz, then Victor Daam, then Kevin Stout, Steve Guerdat, Marc Dilasser, Oda Charlotte Lingver, and Giampiero Garofalo as the last to go in the jump-off. The jump-off comes up next, right after the break. This is the whole show, part 1. We'll be back with part 2.
Hi guys, I'm Marlon Zanotelli.
I'm Angelica Augustin Zanotelli.
It was my first relation with horses when my dad bought a little truck, put all the family, we are 4 kids. So my younger brother was 3 months and I was 5 years old. So traveled Brazil for a year with 2 horses and competing.
And lived in that truck?
And lived in the truck.
Gosh.
So this was amazing experience for us. Yes. And then came the sport later on when we moved to Fortaleza in the north of Brazil, where I rode all my base, children, juniors, young riders, all that I did in Brazil until 2008 that I moved to Belgium.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Horse Show. We are discussing Helsinki. We've just discussed the first part of the World Cup. Now let's head over to the jump off. Paula de Boer Schwartz already jumped clear in the first round of the World Cup and of course came in for the jump off. Really put up a good fight with Miss Marple and was straight away followed by Victor Dam, the Belgian, on Cavaliers Blue. Another one who made his debut for Paula de Boer. It was not really her debut, but for him, for this pair, it was World Cup debut. Victor Dam, Joe and Niels, jumps to clear at his very first try, jumps to double clear at his very first try, finishes third, actually, in his very first five-star World Cup. Did you see that horse and that combination coming there, Belgian?
Yeah, for me it's not really a surprise. Victor is a very good rider, very hard worker. And you could see already in Brussels in the summer, had some very good results. Horse was jumping very good and grabbed now the chance. First time World Cup. And you could see Victor is also a very clever horseman. He really worked for this moment and that pays off now.
Everything he said, you know, he's a hard worker. Not surprised to see him at this level.
And we've discussed about this a few times already. And it feels like we're repeating ourselves, but it's so valuable to anybody with ambition. Sometimes in life, or at least in our sport, you will be given a chance to go to the Middle East, to jump as fifth man on a Nations Cup team, and the fourth man drops out because the horse is not fit, and you come in, and that is when your moment is there, and he took it.
And that can be his step to the next.
I totally agree with that. Everyone gets given these chances. It's whether you take the chance and make the most of it, you know? And that's what he's done now, isn't he? Really made the most of it. Yeah. Impressive.
13 World Cup qualifiers this season. Kevin Stout has ridden 11. He's jumped plenty of clears and was already qualified to go to the final in Texas. But that doesn't keep him from going at it, and he really flew, Joe. What a pace.
Yeah, I mean, he's known for his speed. Even in the first round, he loves riding fast. You never see this man with time faults. Okay, that's just unlucky, you know.
That was mistake really and look this turn, how tight the turn is. Yeah. Super in position.
Always in balance.
Already looking to the next jump now.
Also, this just, he always, it feels like he drives an electric car. You can drive an electric car without touching your brake. If you release the gas or the accelerator, you also slow down. Yeah. Like he's always just playing with the accelerator. It's amazing how he...
Yeah, but Kevin's basic rhythm also, like in the first round always, is so always nice forwards.
Yeah. I mean, if you see the way he's qualified now, I don't think it was always clear, but he was always in the points, even when he knocked one down. That says something.
Always a fast four. Yeah.
So that says something for his rhythm. You know?
Always, also the horse in contact, always in connection, ready to go. Yeah, really cool to see. You want to talk about him again? Oliver Lazarus isn't here. We didn't ask Oliver Lazarus to come. Should we have asked Oliver Lazarus to come?
That would have been a little bit embarrassing, no?
Yeah. You remember what this is about, Niels?
No, maybe
we had a gamble, a bet, a guess. Is Steve Guerdat going to qualify or not? The week after, straight away won his first World Cup. Now he won his second World Cup. Only jumped for this season. Was out half of the season with that back injury. So 4 tries, 2 wins. Take a bow.
But I get it, you know. I mean, it's Oliver's right in one way.
Yeah,
to try to qualify for the World Cup final with 2 World Cups, nearly impossible. But like I said, you can't bet against Steve.
And riding this jump off, actually not in full speed, just under control.
Yeah, beautiful. And he's not just. I think he's not just one of the best riders of our sport now. I think he's one of the best riders that's ever lived.
Yeah,
horseman. Rider.
Because the fascinating thing is, he said after his previous World Cup win, I'm going to give the horse Yashin a break and I'm going to go to Helsinki. And if I go to Helsinki and it goes well, I'll go to Texas. In between that, all that he did was ride young horses or produce his other horses at the Sunshine Tour. So this horse cannot have had that much real training. It came from the previous World Cup and went to the next World Cup and jumped there.
Steve knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
now.
These guys have an unbelievable team around them to keep the horses fit. Ishan is a horse with enough experience. He knows what he does. I think this is not a horse that needs to jump a lot. You see.
Yeah, they don't need to be, when they've got that much experience, Steve and the horse, they don't need to be at those shows every week, you know, as long as he's fit. And I think Steve's a master at his management, having them fit, having them feeling good. And like I think you pointed out earlier, his horses finished the round. They're not even blowing, you know.
He knows his horse very well. He knows that he cannot push the horse completely open in a jump off. He rides a very fast, secure jump off, and the horse is always on the hind legs.
Consistent.
Always together.
So consistent the way he rides. Everything he does, the turns, the pace, the rhythm, so consistent, isn't it?
Impressive. So Steve Guerdat has just taken the lead. In comes Oda Charlotte Lingver, Norwegian rider with the Clee that she already produced. Normally she would have enough points to go to Texas. That was what was the whole this winter season was about. And then she goes up against Steve Guerdat in this head-to-head. Now, Joe, this is a head-to-head in two pieces.
Yes. And I would love to know what was in her head when she made the decision to put the gas on, you know? She really controlled the first part. The horse is jumping amazing. Steve's always ahead the whole round.
Because here at the split, she's a second behind on Steve Guerdat.
Then watch. There was a moment, there was like a switch was flipped in her head and she went, here I go. I'm going to Texas. I don't care anymore. Woohoo!
She uses really the canter of the horse. Eh?
Yeah. Okay, she's a top rider as well, you know. A top rider, top horse.
0.4 behind Guerdat. That means that you made up in those last two lines over, what is it, maybe less than 20 strides, you made up 9/10 of a second.
I don't know if there was someone shouting to her, but there was a moment she went, let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
You were going to say a swear word, weren't you? Starting with an F and ending on it, let's go.
Yeah.
Which is okay. We all know the feeling when you're in there.
And I shouted at my kids for doing it. I was going to do it, sorry.
No problem. Lingver in second at that moment, already second in the La Coruña World Cup, so things were looking good for her. Marc de la Serre, another one who really seized the opportunity. Went there, still needed points, jumped clear. Other than the performance in the World Cup and in the jump-off and qualifying, he had his horse in really good form.
Again, top rider. I love this little horse as well, you know. I don't know how big it is. It's not big, but what a little trier. Because he's not that tall either, is he?
No, I don't think so.
It's just got springs in its legs, you know. Tries so hard, great expression on its face.
Yeah, always focused.
You saw that coming a little bit. The whole thing was drifting off and he never really corrected it, you know. Kind of just let that happen.
Could he have? With the ambition to go for that long stride and...
He could, but then I think he just had to keep a little bit more the power on the left rein.
Yeah.
Not drifting off just the last two strides, already direction, because most of the horses know
into
the last two strides, you saw it coming a little bit.
And then the pressure is just a little bit off.
So you think that's anticipation on the turn to come?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Both rider and horse. They were both already going that way.
Very good nuance. Last but not least, Giampiero Garofalo won already a class in Helsinki. Twice second and a third place. Now with Querido van het Ruitershof. Not from the Emerald Dam line, but from the same breeder.
I mean, also two Hendricks horses in the jump-off.
Yeah.
Credit to them. It's lovely to see them back on this level.
And to be fair, great to see this man back on this level. He isn't as decorated yet as Lorenzo De Luca, but he is as stylish as De Luca. I think the uniform also helps.
The Italian uniform's definitely better than the Hungarian uniform, isn't it? It's a little bit more fitted.
Yeah.
Was it Hungarian?
Yeah, right. Thomas Bras. You mean? Yeah, absolutely. Just thought he was there.
Thought he was there. A little bit. He thought he was there as well.
And I think the horse is also quite on experience on that level.
10 years old. Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's also their first. It is.
Yeah.
Sorry, not think. It is their first five-star World Cup.
Sure,
Five-star
very
Grand
good
Prix.
jumper.
Yeah, absolutely. Time for results. Let's see who placed where in the final standings of the Helsinki International Horse Show, the World Cup. Guerdat wins his second of the season. Lingver, her second of the season. A career best for both Victor Daam and Paula de Boer-Schwartz. Stout is there with the fast 4, actually fastest time of all. And then Garofalo and De La Serre. Van Massenhoven with the time penalty. And then Anquetin, a very good jumping H&M Indiana with Malin Bayer-Johnson in 10th on 4 penalties. Then Watley, Stühlmeyer, Schulze, Topphoff, Lynch, Braz with the uniform, as you mentioned, Joe. Mansour also with the uniform, and then the rest. As you can see, lots of force. Stühlmeyer and Schulze, Topphoff. Those are the two that we have to talk about because we will bring up the standings, final standings of the Western European League, the World Cup qualifiers. Greve wins the league, if you want, followed by Erpaillard, Doorse, Kuhner, Gulliksen, Mansour, Vogel. No changes in there. Then Stout moves up a few places, so does Guerdat and Oda Schroter-Lingver. We were always talking about the top 18. However, with Erpaillard being the defending champion, and with Eiken Sato and Yuri Mansour being non-European, they are considered as extra riders, means that you qualify right up to 21st place. Stühlmeyer makes it in. So Le Prévost makes it in. Stühlmeyer makes it in with 33 points. And so does Philipp, Schulze, Topphoff. Now, if both of them in that first round with so many riders on 4 penalties, if they were 1 second slower, they would not have made qualification.
Cool.
Qualification depends on a single second. Now, Waterloo. Go ahead, Joe.
I think Topphoff really deserved to qualify. I'm happy to see him in there, Worked hard for the whole season, so it's nice to see him.
Waterloo is number 22, so at this point is not qualified. However, Kim Emmons said that she was not going. At least she told us here in the studio. That would mean that the ticket
She
would
said
go
it
down.
wasn't her.
Yeah.
It's different than saying I'm not going.
That's true. That's true. So we will have to wait and see how that plays out. With below it, the rest of qualification. What did I want to say? 15 participations for Steve Guerdat, 14 consecutive qualifications for Kevin Stout. Kevin Stout has qualified for 14 consecutive World Cup finals. He did not compete in one 2 years ago, but for the rest, talking about consistency. Yep.
Consistent.
Absolutely.
But he also makes his plan.
Yep.
He wants to qualify for the final. That's what he starts his World Cup season as. That's what we're trying to do. He's one of the few riders that actually...
And also a rider that is always there for his country. In Nations Cups, World Cups,
Yep.
Championships.
Representing, literally.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Gulliksen, Burke, Juffert, Sato, Van Massenhoven, De La Serre, all debutants. So 8 of the 21 that go through don't have World Cup final experience. And that is, of course, the same for Oda Charlotte-Lingver, the Norwegian rider, second in La Coruña, second now in Helsinki, and now also qualified for her career first Longines FEI jumping World Cup final in Fort Worth, Texas. Oda Charlotte-Lingver, welcome to the Horse Show and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You've jumped 3 World Cups. You've jumped
Bit more.
3 clear. You jumped 3 clears actually, which is more than most riders who have qualified. But it took you right until the very last stage to get qualified for the actual final. What was the emotion like throughout this entire series, this whole months of qualifying?
I thought I'd keep it a bit exciting. No, but I have to say, when we started in the season, we were just going to do Oslo. And then, my plan was Oslo and Maastricht for the indoor season, and then see a little bit where we were. And then she already jumped clear in Oslo. And then I got the opportunity to go to La Coruña. And then that was, great success there, and more than we expected. And then all of a sudden the dream started a little bit about the final, and I was also lucky that Johan qualified quite early, so I had the opportunities to go to more of the shows for Norway, which I'm very, very thankful for. And then I had a lot of, she jumped amazing rounds in Basel, Amsterdam, Bordeaux, but yeah, just not there. And then you all of a sudden really want, the more you saw it, like, oh, maybe it doesn't happen, maybe yes. And then in Gothenburg again, one down, an amazing round, but luckily a few points with me. And then, that it actually really happened in Helsinki. It meant a lot. It was very, very emotional.
So it looked actually like the first round you did, you looked quite relaxed, and it looked like you just went there to try to win the class like you always do, you know? And then it looked like when the emotions came in to try to qualify, you started to ride nearly a little bit too careful sometimes.
Yeah. At some point wanted it a bit too much, and then I just need to stay out of Carabella's way, and that's sometimes hard when you really want it.
So,
but
I think my question is how then, because this weekend you looked like the old you. How did you get that back? Because I mean, the first round was perfect. You looked relaxed. And then the jump off, obviously, you went for it. So how did you get that back? That feeling?
I think I just reflected a lot about the rounds, what I had now in Gothenburg and Bordeaux, Basel, Amsterdam, and really been thinking about what could I have done better. And in the end, now I knew it was my last chance, and I just knew I had to do all those things right, and learn from my mistakes the other rounds. And I think the course suited us very well. And she felt great Friday in the 150, so I just tried to trust that feeling. And I have to say, I didn't feel nervous. I felt extremely focused.
That's how it looked. That's how it looked. You looked more relaxed and more determined.
Yeah,
it's good.
On my class.
So where does that come from? Is that experience, or is that mental coaching that you've had in the past or recently that pulled you through?
Or I'm just extremely stubborn, I think.
I know a few people who will say that could be the case, but let's not talk about those yet.
No, but I don't know. The more that I felt like, oh, am I not going to make this? The more I was like, I have to make it. And it's in the end, in the ring, you're just battling with yourself. And that's what I've been doing. And I feel like that I won over my own nerves yesterday. And I just really had to do my job. And I'm very happy that I could pull it off.
I think now that confidence you can take through to the final, you know? I mean, you've got the hard bit done. Now the final, you can enjoy it and try to win, I think.
Yeah. Anyways, it was a bonus for me to get there. I mean, the chance to do this World Cup season and how much I learned just from watching the other riders riding so many big rounds, what I normally maybe will not get in. Like in the summer, it's harder for me to get into any 5-star shows, but to get this routine on the level with a horse who can jump it like Carabella, and that gives you a lot.
That's really interesting. I think I learned the most when I got the opportunity to start going to 5-star shows. Just watching the other 5-star riders even just warm up and do their routine. I learned a lot from that as well. Sure. Yeah, it's really interesting. He said that.
So from here, it is Texas next. Niels, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah. I was just wondering, did you make already a plan for the coming up weeks, shows, trainings, something specifically that you say, I really want to do this or these shows before going to Texas?
No, actually, until I didn't even have time to think about it. Before yesterday, we didn't have a plan at all. We just were gonna see how it went. But I think, and today I also barely had time to think about anything else than riding my horses at home and the kids. But we will have to sit down now and make a good plan. Now she will gonna have a few weeks, just work at home, but not showing, because I've been to quite many shows now. And I feel that it's just important to keep her good shape, but not overdo things, not do anything different because of this. And I think that's also what we learned from the Europeans in La Coruña this summer also, that we should not change things because of what we're going to do now, like stick to our plan. And I feel like we also, together with him and the team at home, like we got so much more confidence in that what we do is also the right thing. which I think that will benefit us now more than last summer.
Okay. And we have to talk about Steve Guerdat. He is now aware that there is somebody that is faster in the last part of that jump off. With all respect, you were faster. The last two lines, you were significantly faster. You made up a full second on Steve Guerdat. How does that feel?
Yeah, I don't know what went through me. No, but I was a bit lucky to turn back to number 3 because I wanted to keep her straight on the second oxer and landed. She actually jumped a bit to the left. And then my 7 strides that was planned to the rollback to that vertical got very long. But these guys have been pushing me a bit at the shows to say, come on, you don't want to win it. I remember they said to me, La Groya, and this time I thought this is a chance to try to do it. And also in the end, the line that they said, if I go for it, I can get the 10 down to the water oxer. And in the end, I did 9. But I just committed to it, and luckily I have a very long horse with a lot of scope. So,
But what was the moment there that you went? Because it looked like your first half of the course was a bit careful, and then there was a moment you went, "Come on, let's go." You know what was?
Yeah, I don't know. I just okay, the turning part is not always the easiest with her, but to go and to really use her canter, that's really her comes to her benefit for sure. She can have a massive stride if I just let her. But then I knew I had to commit to it. I couldn't change my mind because then it will probably end a bit different.
It was brilliant. It was a brilliant jump off. It was a brilliant qualification as well. We look forward to seeing you in Texas. By the way, congratulations to the entire Hendricks team with Giampiero also.
It was a fantastic weekend. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's good to see Hendricks back on that level. Yeah, absolutely.
Very much deserved. Oda, we're going to let you go. Thank you. See you in Texas and speak soon.
Thank you.
Well done.
Bye.
Sometimes it just comes together.
It's good.
Yeah.
Super.
How cool is that?
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she's a lovely girl, isn't she? She's lovely.
Yeah, really enjoys it. Okay, boys, that is everything about Helsinki. Let's have a look at what is coming up next week. Well, no, it's not that next week. It's this week, actually, presented by the Aloga Show Advisor. It is the 5-star Grand Prix in Wellington. It's the only 5-star event on Klipmahoos this weekend. So all the focus on Saturday evening under the lights on another 5-star Grand Prix. Richard Vogel, Gangster Mode is here again. You have to wait, you have to see, and you have to watch it on Clip My Horse. Niels and Joe, thank you very much for joining me. It was an intense weekend. Fortunately, it was not such an intense show.
Which show are we talking about now?
This show was not intense as our past weekend, so now we can slow down and straighten things out before we come back for Wellington. You seem to.
I'm waiting for the punchline.
No.
There's nothing coming. Good.
Yeah.
No? Okay, good. Yeah, relaxed show was lovely.
Yeah,
pleasant to do.
Yeah, but I mean,
Enjoyed your
also
company.
now your busy moments are over. Niels, no?
Yeah.
Like with all the Zangerzijde shows and everything.
Oh yeah, we moved from one busy moment to the next
okay,
busy moment.
good.
That's the Zangerzijde style.
Niels, no global tour for you. What would that mean for you for the weekend? Does that mean that all of a sudden you've got a free weekend on your hands?
Yeah, I think so.
It's even better.
Yeah, because actually it's last minute. Everything was planned, everything was settled. But let's enjoy a few other things and follow up the whole situation a little bit.
Yeah. That sounds like a very good plan. Joe, Niels, thank you very much to you at home. Thank you very much for watching. This was The Horse Show. We covered Helsinki, the last qualifier on the Western European League, discussed who was going to go or is going to go to Texas, who still might go to Texas. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out in the coming weeks. And next week, we will be back with a new show discussing the 5-star event in Wellington. See you then. Bye-bye. Take care.